Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to go over the top 3 ways to finish your drawings. A really common thing that happens to almost every artist I know, including myself in the past, is that you'll get about 75% through a drawing and you'll just drop it. And you don't know why. And it usually doesn't have anything to do with your technical ability. It's usually a mental thing. And I want to go over 3 ways to do that and cure that. I've read a lot of books on this. I recommend a couple of books in this video. So let's start with that issue. And one more thing, if you do like these topics, click that like button to let me know what to give you more of. That helps me a lot. Thanks so much. Let's get into this. Alrighty, so the first tip in order to kind of start finishing what you're doing would be to take your emotions out of it. Usually when you get about, at least for me anyway, when I get roughly, I don't know, maybe I get roughly about 80% through maybe 75% into a drawing or painting, I have this kind of like feeling of like, oh no, pull back or you'll mess this up, I get that almost every single drawing and painting. I get about 75% of the way through, not so much at this level, I'm just kind of fooling around. But, and I think that's a really common issue, again, because I've been hearing that stuff over and over. I start a lot of stuff, I just cannot finish it, I don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And, I have the same feeling. And I think a big chunk of that comes from putting a lot of pressure on yourself to do good. Even if you are a beginner, especially if you are a beginner, I think that's on you sometimes more, at least it's on your mind more. You haven't learned to control that yet. That kind of urge inside of you, where sometimes if you're more advanced, for sure it still happens, but you've already kind of learned to like push past it. But you gotta take your emotions out of it. You gotta take that giddiness, that kind of like, oh no, I'm gonna screw this up. You know what I mean? That emotional kind of ego. You just gotta go, if this is bad, it's bad. If it turns out bad, it's bad. But you gotta say, hey, I learned. And, that's the best part about it, is that I learned from it. Kind of take that learning experience and you'll take it on to a next drawing. But always finish stuff to its adequate kind of point. If you leave stuff unfinished, you're never gonna know how to finish any drawing because you're just not gonna be there very often. So you're gonna have to do this and push through it. And again, like I said, a good way to do that is take your emotions out of the picture and just keep doing it like it's this mechanical drawing, which is what you're doing. You're gonna have to take your emotions out, and that can be kind of hard for some people, or easier for some. So that's one thing, and that's actually gonna kind of tail into the next point. The next point is become process oriented, and that's very similar to what I was talking about in the last video. Become very in love with the process. Obviously, it's related to like when I say stuff like, think about what you loved about it to begin with. Because when you love, sorry, I keep saying, love the process, like pulling the pencil, the little nitty gritty of this, or the pen. You pull nitty gritty, you're like, okay, you're darkening this up. Become process oriented. Learn to love the process, not so much wanting the finish, And if you do that, the finish is going to come very naturally, and you're going to find that you're going to do stuff seemingly faster. Like time will fly, and you're going to be like, wow, I'm already almost done with this, or wow, I did a lot for only like an hour or something. That's what's really going to happen when you become truly process oriented. You love that process. Time will fly, and you're going to get so much done. And you got to try to make that permanent, Just make that mindset permanent. It helps. I do that with jobs a lot. I'm like, hey, this is a fun job. I'm gonna draw this, draw that. You know, it's exactly like the last tip I talked about. You know, learn to like love what you're doing. I mean, that's a little bit different, right? Because you're learning to love the subject matter. Maybe this one, I'm really learning. I'm really like loving the pulling the pencil and the shading and the stuff I had learned before. That's kind of, you know, a little bit different. But become a process-oriented person, and then you're gonna find stuff really go quick. And that let's go into the third one and the last one. And that you gotta think past the drawing. Or and this one's a little bit weird, and I haven't actually, I don't think I've heard this one that many places, but I would say if you have to, okay, so when I'm drawing something, something big that comes up in my brain a lot is, for example, if I have to draw a robot, like let's say like a vehicle. And I don't draw too many vehicles, but let's say I gotta draw a vehicle. I'm thinking already like, oh no, the perspective, and you know this and that, and where the, you know, the light source, you know, I'm already thinking of like these little tiny problems, which are not actually too big of a deal within the drawing. You know, I mean, I guess fixing perspective for sure, but I mean, if it's on an item, it's not too bad. It's not like when you're doing it on like, you know, a total, like a scenery. But you gotta think past this. I can't just dwell on these tiny issues. You know, these tiny little issues are gonna delay me. So every little worry is gonna hold me back and make me more scared every single little step of the way through whatever drawing I'm doing or whatever painting I'm doing. Every little thing is gonna delay me. You know, and I'm gonna be wasting mental energy just being worried about these little things, or being like, oh, I have to do this, oh, I have to do that. So what I encourage people to do is something that I did a lot of, and I still do a lot of, is thinking past the drawing. So if I say like, okay, for myself, if I have a vehicle design to do, I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm thinking about the finish. Okay, it's gonna look something like this. You know, I envision it in my mind. Like, okay, the finish is gonna look something like this, and it's gonna be like all terrain or whatever, or, you know, what style? What style is this gonna be? Is this gonna be, is this gonna be kind of more technical, or is it gonna be a little less, more kind of post-apocalyptic? Or, you know, I start kind of thinking past the things I'm gonna do, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. Oh, I have to fix a perspective? Not a big deal. Boom, next. I have to color it? Not a big deal. Okay, I'll think about the color. I'm thinking about these things, but I'm not putting so much pressure on myself every little step of the way. I'm thinking of the finish, which is the complete opposite of that first one, right? Become process-oriented. Think of it. See, some of these conflict, but when I give you tips, you use them when you find them necessary, because we all have different minds, and we have different issues, and your mind can change, you know, depending on what part of your art career you're in. So when you use these or any other tips from anyone else mentally, that will change, and there's a time for that. There's a book I read called The War of Art, not The Art of War. And I mentioned this book many times. I'm gonna put it on my recommended book list on my website. If you guys haven't seen that, go check the recommended book list on easythingstodraw.net. But I am gonna put this book, and I'm gonna put a list of non-technical books. I want to put a list of art books that help the mind of the artist get through issues, because that's just as big of an issue. As you can tell, I'm really big on people getting over mental hangups, because I had so many that delayed me for so long, and I don't want you guys to have them. But I am going to put that on a book list, The War of Art, and that talks all about finishing your creative projects. I believe it was made for writers, but it is, I mean, it applies just as much for art, for drawing and stuff like that. And, you know, music, it applies to pretty much everything. And he talked about that, I believe they called it resistance. And you kind of describe it as there's this resistance once you start trying to finish your creative project that kicks in. And if you identify it, and I forgot, it's been a few years since I read it, but you do these certain things to eliminate that resistance. That's a really good book. I recommend it. I'll even link it in this description, by the way, until I get to post it on my book list. Really short book. If you want to even look at the audio, I think the audio is on YouTube. So, all right, pretty much it. Those are the 3 tips. I hope these are of value to you. If they are, please hit that like button and let me know what you think in the comments. I reply to every single comment. Also, if you guys ever want to chat with me, I am on Instagram. I am very, very active on my Instagram. I think that's probably the thing I'm on the most, and I can just literally talk to anybody. If you message me, there's like a really high probability I'll talk to you and just chat. Also, if you want to get trained by me, if you want ebooks, or if you want sketches, for example, this one, when I finish it, it's not going to go anywhere except for my Patreon. I'm going to put exclusive sketches on my Patreon. I'm posting on that every day, and I give a few ebooks out that I give out there and nowhere else. I also give out art instruction on there, and the rest of the usual stuff, prints, t-shirts, etc., based on tier. Go check my Patreon out. I am very obsessed with it right now. If you do want to get trained by me or anything, related to me, or see exclusive sketches, go to my Patreon. I'm going to link that below as well. That's kind of it. Thank you so much. I'm going to be posting every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you guys soon. I'll talk to you later.